Yo, what is happening, everyone? Welcome to Gameplay, the eSports show that keeps you in the know of all things high school and university eSports. My name is Colin Manyame, aka Scorer in the eSports streets, and if I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times I've said that, yes, you know it. This is episode 10, and if you know, I'm very happy, right? This is our milestone. We finally got to 10 episodes, and this is not really gonna be your conventional episode. This one, we're gonna get a bit of nostalgia coming through, looking back at some of the best moments, or rather my favorite moments within the series thus far. And alongside that, also looking at some notable moments that happened within the esports industry locally for the high school and university esports. Let's get right into it. All right, it's time to look at some notable moments that took place within the esports industry, or rather the high school and university space. The first one was the school Paul Ruiz Gymnasium, or better known as PRG, hosted some esports trials at their school. And why this is notable is the fact that we've got to a point where we're now hosting esports trials at schools to be able to form these teams. So let's take a look at those trials and see how it went.
My coolest thing is probably winning the Comic-Con event like 2 years back with my old friends it's out of matric now.
I would definitely be winning the finals of the league tournament last year for the school team.
Yes, I think it should be because it's the fastest growing sport at the moment, and I think it has a lot of opportunities.
Esports is like the future. Obviously it has to be balanced out. You want to make esports more respectable.
One of the positives I've definitely seen is everyone's always really social. Like, some people are kind of like scared to open up, but then when you really get to know these people, you realize that you have a lot of common interests, and it's just very, very social. Like, even with all the competitiveness, and everyone really gets to know each other, really become like a brotherhood.
My goals this year is to place top 4 in RLCS.
Personally, my goals this year, I want to be a more consistent person. As a team, I want our team to be able to communicate better.
Be dominant throughout the year. Last year we started off rough.
A lot of new people to esports this year with all the grade 8s, and I want everyone to feel very welcome. I don't want anyone to feel like they're being kind of smothered out, like they're being talked over. I want everyone to feel safe and happy being where they are.
It's great to see such growth that has already happened. And I mean, you guys have probably seen that video already, and you will have probably seen the ones to come as well. But it's just good to look at these moments and kind of learn from them and see just how far we've come. Speaking on how far we've come, Kuro, the team that has been informed and rather involved within the space for quite some time now, had a Kuro in Daba this year. They had a workshop session where they were teaching and educating coaches, as well as teachers, a part of these schools, more about the esports space and how to grow sustainably in it. Let's take a look at how it went.
We're at the eSports in Daba that's situated in Potch today to basically coach the coaches and to reignite that passion and to show them what esports can be.
It's very exciting to me to see so many people that came through and wanted to learn about gaming. It's great to see a variety of complete newbies to professionals that clearly are gaming in their spare time at home. What's also really great is having ACGL here, which is obviously a fantastic brand to have as a backbone, making sure that everything is set up just right and have the top-notch availability of esports equipment from Acer and Predator.
From last year, which was our first in Daba, we only had about 50 coaches participate, where this year that number has doubled. And we've also seen the coaches adopting esports and all the strategy a lot more, and they are hungry for more information, and I think that's the reason why we've seen a doubling in numbers.
with this Indaba this year, I've definitely learned so much from everybody here. It's really amazing opportunity for coaches, teachers, anybody that's interested in esport.
No matter what your level of expertise are, there's a noob line, if you want to call it that, and there's your intermediate one, and there's your pro one. So it's definitely something for everybody.
We started out our journey with Curo 2 years ago, launching and supporting the esports program, where we had to work with them and advise them and provide them with support. They're now standing on their own 2 feet in a very, very strong way, and it was an absolute honor to have gone through that.
I love the Indaba. I think the Indaba is just there's an energy about this Indaba, and I think it comes from the Curo staff generally, from the organisers to the attending teachers, but there's such a powerful energy here that I don't get from other events around the world. Even the massive events like ISTE and BET in London and so on, there's something about this Indaba that is truly unique in its creative energy, and I love that. I thrive here on that.
You know, it's really great to be able to see this workshop come through, where we're able to teach teachers, coaches, and parents more about the high school, or rather even the esports space. Just allows for more growth and more sustainability going forward. But away from that, ACGL and Acer announced a 3-year partnership deal where we see Acer solidifying their space and involvement within the esports space locally. Let's take a look at that video again, baby.
Hey there everybody, my name is Nick Holden. I am the co-founder of African Cyber Gaming League and essentially here to have a good time at the Interland in Cape Town. So today is a big day because we're almost taking the lid off of a big announcement that we are partnering with Acer, Predator, Nitro, essentially the whole conglomerate of Acer and Acer Education for the Nitro ASL League. So we've reached an agreement to be able to partner with them for the next 3 years.
It's absolutely a privilege for us to take Acer's Nitro range and use that as a sponsorship tool to get into the schools and to teach kids how to play and develop their technology and their technology acumen using gaming and esports specifically in this area. It's been a phenomenal partnership with ACGL and the ASL League. And being able to reach the schools, not only from a publicity point of view, but to see kids who are quiet, sitting in the back of classrooms, not engaging on the sports field, to suddenly come to life and just explode in enthusiasm because we're talking their language, and that's what we're after.
So we started with around about 10 to 20 schools signed up around about 1.5 years ago. Today we're on 160 schools nationwide. We've seen a massive increase across the board. There's also some very, very exciting announcements coming soon of how we're going to be able to put even more of a spotlight on the potential and the talent that these youngsters are showing. They're showing great competency in terms of their communication and their teamwork, but ultimately these are the future pros of South Africa and Sub-Saharan Africa, and we want to be able to follow them along in that journey, because the story of how we get our next esports professional player is still to be found, and we can't wait to be there along in that journey.
This league exists for you. The bigger the league gets, it's only going to be dependent on how many of your friends you invite to be part of this experience. It's not going anywhere, it's growing. So we look forward to 2024, 2025, 2026 and beyond.
Really great to see once again Acer getting more and more involved within the high school esports space. But moving away from that, it's time to talk about gaming opportunities in your area. And I've been saying this week in, week out, week in, week out. Next week is AGC, and if you haven't signed up, you are going to be missing out. 192 players, 20 schools, and so many more are already involved within this event. And if you're not one of them, you're gonna be missing out. So make sure you get yourself signed up as we have a 100,000 Rand prize pool across 3 titles. EAFC 24, Rocket League, Fortnite, and alongside that, it's across 3 divisions, ASL, AUL, as well as public eSports, where we have under 18 division and the open division. So now is your opportunity. I've been saying this, you only have until next week, Friday, where we kick off. So make sure you're signed up, make sure you're ready, and I want to be seeing you at AGC in Cape Town. But further from that, the Shift Gaming Experience pop-up mall activation is still going on. We've now had pop-ups at Rosebank, the Glen Mall, Clearwater, Woodlands Mall this past weekend, and honestly, there have been bangers on bangers. Another weekend of qualifiers for the Shift EAFC 24 tournament that leads to a grand final in Cape Town at Canal Walk, which boasts a prize of 35,000 Rand. The Shift Gaming Experience hits Table Bay in Cape Town in a few weeks' time, so opportunity for you to prepare for the next one. Come 9th to 11th of August, make sure you pop in, sign up and compete in EAFC 24, Street Fighter 6 and more while taking on challenges and trying to win multiple spot prizes that will be available. So, hope to be seeing you there. Alright, that takes care of that ASL catch-up business. So join me after this break as we take a trip down memory lane. And as I said, it's the 10th episode, real special moment for us. So let's take a look at all these moments and highlights and standouts that we witnessed throughout the series. Alrighty, welcome back to the show, folks. Let's take a trip down memory lane. If you take a look behind me, I have my wall of memory, some shots and moments from my past series episodes. So let's take a look at our first moment. The first one is going to come from my interview with Snare. Had a really insightful chat with him, great individual. And we were talking about educating students and teachers more about esports and the career paths you can follow. Let's take a look.
Get paid. Hold on. This is nice.
And that's crazy to think about it, that something that even you just said now, you wouldn't think of that as a viable opportunity, that happening for you. That's a crazy thought to think about, right?
Yeah.
That this is something that I didn't think would happen, but it happened. And that's something I think that's very interesting to talk about. What is the importance of sharing this type of knowledge, especially with high school esports and university esports being on the rise, and letting kids and students who are striving to find different career paths in the space about these opportunities that are now arising that weren't there previously, like shoutcasting?
I would say that like the advantage a lot of them have now, they have 2 advantages. The fact that, like you say, more of these opportunities are available. That used to be the case back in the day when I was on the come up. But also now it's, for me at the time, right? Even if I had started on day 1 and said, hey, this is what I want to do. This is the express purpose of my life. I want to be a shoutcaster. I want to be a host. I want to be involved in gaming. I would not have been able to have that conversation with my family, my teachers, my friends, and say, hey guys, this is serious. I would have been laughed out of the room at the time. But now kids can actually see that, no, there is a viable way into this. So you're less discouraged by the forces around you. It's less of a risk for you to take like a year or 2 and say, I'm gonna go full time with this, see what happens. I also think that the big advantage that kids have relative to the rest of us, because I was already like later on in university, you know, I was in my early 20s when this was happening. But if you're a kid now, if you're in high school, there's no real downside for you just trying it out, right?
Yeah.
Say, hey, let me just cast some random tournament on YouTube. Hey, let me just hop on Twitch, stream a little bit, see if I can gain any traction. You're still in school, you're still going to be going into university, you're still under the purview of like a community around you, just trying to keep you afloat. So I would say right now, if I was a kid, I kind of wish I was 14, 15 now with what I know now as well, right? Being like, oh, okay, and have that experience. I'm not afraid of the failure. I can just do this thing and it could work out. So I would say as a kid now, honestly, a lesson that it took me way too many years to learn about trying a new venture, especially something that's not considered a conventional career path, is that the only good day to start is today, right? The better day is yesterday, but yesterday's come and gone. Start today, basically. And as a young person, there's so much space and so much opportunity that people want to give you that voice. They want to see like that new perspective on a game that they're already playing. They want to see what's the new zeitgeist going to look like. Everybody's looking for the next big thing, and usually.
Sean, quite an insightful man who has amazing points, and someone else that has really great points, Teko. Let's take a look at her perspective on knowledge in esports. And you actually touched on something important there, is there's so much more to gaming than just the stereotypical, oh, we just play games, right? There's so much more. There's even, therapists as well for some of the biggest esports teams because of just how hectic competitive gaming can be, right? So it's about educating them on these stuff and letting people know more and more about what is actually involved within the space. Because I feel like a lot of people, when they see gaming, it's instantly, oh, you're sitting in front of a PC, sitting in front of a screen, you game. But there's just so much more that happens behind the scenes that a lot of people don't see. And I think that's what can also be taught, and that's what can be introduced more, and allowing more and more parents, students to understand just pros and cons of what it is to be a part of the space.
For sure, and I think what I've been really lucky is that I've got to see the best gamers in the world. So we see all the news titles of these players that are making millions of dollars. I've met them, like some of them I call my friends. They are making millions of dollars. But if you look into how their life is, I think it's really good for parents and for students to see this, is that they wake up in the morning early, they don't sleep until 12. They're very fit, because to sit and play a 3-4 hour competitive match on a PC, you actually have to be physically fit. It's very draining. So they do a lot of fitness work. They're very strict about what they eat. They're very conscious about what they're putting in their bodies, because they realize they need that fitness and that stimulus. But also, they don't just play games for 8 hours. There's a lot of analysis work. They work with specialist analysts, much like you see in football or rugby, who break down opposition, break down certain plays, discuss the best way to play the game. They have team meetings where they work on their communication, because you're in a very high stress situation. You're talking to each other. You have to make calls really quickly. They have to be able to read the game, talk to their teammates, listen to their teammates play at the same time. There are so many things that go into being a professional esports player. And those skills, I think if you start them young in high school leagues, are fantastic. It's such a great skill to learn, whether you're playing esports and professional sport, or if you just want to work in an office with other people. I think those are skills that are really important. So I always get excited when I see esports leagues in high schools and even universities, because it's a way to educate so many people while they're having fun. That's the most important bit, because that's when you learn the most, is when you're having a good time and having fun.
Teko has a lot of knowledge to share. She has been a part of the scene for quite some time. Here's a core value that she shared with me that you could use to help propel you in your esports career. The sort of difference when it comes to esports is that you don't really expect that it's actually going to be a career. You didn't think in your wildest dreams that just talking about gaming, just talking about esports will have you jet setting. And I think that's the beautiful thing about esports, is that there's just so much that you can find within it that you'd never expect. I mean, no one would have thought, oh, casting can get me flying to Germany, hosting can get me in Dallas, can get me in Tokyo, Japan. You know, there's just so much that comes from it. And it's just that passion, right? It's that burning passion that was in you that sort of sparked all of that.
For sure, and I always try to say to people, because I get a lot of moms who come to me and be like, how does my kids, get into esports? Or I'll have kids come and ask me, and I always say, if you're not passionate about this, it's not going to happen. Because I didn't for a very long time. It's cool now, I do get to fly all over the world, and it's great. But for a long time, that wasn't the case. I wasn't getting flights, I wasn't being paid. This was something I did in my spare time, while I was studying, while I was working, because it was a passion that I wanted to share. And I think that that's the most important thing, is at the end of the day, playing games is fun, and this is something that we love to do, so you need to do it for the love of it first.
As I said, Teko, very knowledgeable about the space, so someone that you can definitely look to with regards to learning more about the space. Let's take a look at my next moment with Goliath Gaming, another brand that has been involved quite some time, and they also share their core values of what's allowed them to keep themselves going, longevity, maintaining sustainability, and flexibility within esports. Enjoy.
Sure, I've been doing this for, I'd say, about 23 years. So I've seen everybody come and go. So I've seen, who's going to make it, who's not, just within their core values, their characteristics. And Julia will tell you about.
I think just staying up to date with everything, continuously improving, adapting. You as an individual.
That's the biggest thing, adapting, right?
Yeah. you as an individual and collectively, if you're obviously part of a team or organization, just wanting the best for yourself and who you're part of, whoever you are representing. So yeah, it's that continuous adapting and improving for me.
I think that's the biggest thing to take note of is adaptability, but also flexibility.
Correct.
Because esports is a space where there's constant change. The meta is almost always changing, especially in the games that we compete in. The sort of marketing strategies that you utilize to grow yourself as an organization, it's always changing. So it's also making sure that you stay on the ball with that. And I mean, that could be a reason as well as to show why you guys are always at the highest levels, because there's a bit of flexibility, there's a bit of adaptability, and you're always making sure you're keeping up with the trends or you're staying up to date with everything.
Yeah, of course, I can definitely support that, and it's a fantastic point because people, obviously gaming, esports is great, you love it, it's fun, but if you want to stay at the top, the most important thing is consistency.
Yeah.
And like you said, FIFA changes every year, for example. It's a game I play, it's a game I love. So for me to be one of the best in the country, in the world, I have to continuously play and adapt and, you know, get used to the new metas and the changes that's continuously happening in and around me. So yeah, it takes a lot to stay at the top and to be one of the best.
I mean, Goliath Gaming, Bravado Gaming, brands you can really take inspiration from, who've maintained a lot of longevity and had their core values in place. Another player who's had their core value in place, Jabi, my first ever guest on the show. He speaks about his adversity and not really having the resources to grow within the space, but making the best out of his situation and showcasing that even you can make it through, and sharing his tips on how you can grow yourself how you see fit. You were disadvantaged and you didn't, have access to some things that you do have access to now. What advice would you give to someone who's maybe in a similar or maybe relatable situation currently on how they can get into esports, or maybe just get involved and, start working their way into getting into the scene?
I think they need to look at it like this. It's one step at a time. You're not gonna, and people who always ask me, how do I become the best? And they want me to coach them. I always tell them, like, listen, I can't coach you because you need to go through the struggles of trying to figure something out. I say I can advise you, but coaching is more like you jumping steps. You need to take it one step at a time. Get stuck, try figure a way out. It could be life. Like for me, I was stuck with life. I couldn't get, the console. Got the job. Then I had to, and then I knew that okay, I need to first get the plasma TV. I need to get the game. I need to get the console, and then from there, I need to pay for internet. It was all one step at a time. And then from there, the practice starts kicking in. You start looking at, okay, what are the pros doing that I'm not doing? How do I do this? How do I do this in a match? It's the same as FIFA. If you lose the ball anywhere in the field, you need to now go back and say, okay, how did I lose this ball? Then you start now formulating strategies around that. So for people getting into esports, they need to know which title they want to get into it and take one step at a time. If it's Valorant, you're going to have to buy the PC one part at a time. You'll eventually get there.
So this is the trophy that Kuro won in our previous episode's Student Showdown. So congratulations to them. You'll be receiving this soon. But into my final moment. This moment touches my heart. It was a chat I had with Snare, and he was sharing some advice for young black up-and-coming students that want to get into esports, that want to get involved, and just how much value they can hold. Let's see what he has to say. One more thing, especially for many black Africans who might be looking up to you. I mean, as you said, you're the only black African that's been casting for Dota, the international. What do you want to say to any of those that may be watching right now?
That's a tough one because there's a lot to say. But I think the biggest thing for me, for the young black people that are out there, right, and who, firstly, you're not aware as a young black person, right, just how hard it's going to be being a young black person, being a representative of a lot of other black people. It's going to test you. Like, it's going to test your mind, it's going to test your spirit. You're going to, a lot of times, want to lash out, say dumb things. I would say, again, remember that you're not just doing this for you, right? If you fail, who's to say when the next black person comes up behind you, right? It is a big responsibility to take on, so you have to go into it with that in mind. But I think the other big thing to remember, and it also took me too long to realize this, is you bring a unique voice. Nah? There is nobody on planet Earth. Firstly, there's nobody like South Africans, right? If I can literally spot a South African in the random middle of the street, right?
Yep.
Anywhere on planet Earth, you'll just be like, that person, I see where they're from, right? I actually had a braai with the guy in Riyadh. It was good. He literally just found me and he's like, South Africa, ne? Yeah, bro. It's a good jobs. It was a good time. But we are a unique people, and being black people, just in gaming, right? If you're a black person in gaming, you know that you're not having the same experience as, let's say, one of your white friends that might be in gaming, one of your Indian friends that might be in gaming. But what that does also mean is that the perspective you bring is one that is not replicable anywhere else on Earth.
Yeah.
And if you can find a way for people to hear you, guaranteed they're going to latch onto you. You might even be surprised by just how much currency you actually carry, just how much of a difference you make just by simply existing. But when you realize how much of a difference you can make, it can also give you much more motivation to be like, guys, the thing I'm saying is actually important, and that's a big thing. Never forget that your voice legitimately does matter, and it does matter that you share it with the world.
That concludes the Special 10th. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure to present this show to you guys. You as the viewers, we really appreciate you. Thank you for joining us on this journey. Congratulations to Kuro, who won our Student Showdown. Massive appreciation to the amazing guests that have joined me on the show. We hope to see you in the next 10 and celebrating our next milestone. Take care, gamers. Stay safe, and we'll see you in the next one. GG's.